is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
A very good morning. You're watching News 9. I'm Karthik Malhotra. A big lineup ahead of us this morning. We've got Ankit Mehta, the co-founder of Idea 4, joining us to tell us his budget expectations for the defense and drone industry. Is this going to be the year that indigenous manufactured drones finally take flight? We'll get your perspective on that on the show this morning. Also, of course, the big news that came in yesterday, India and the European Union have signed the historic free trade agreement. The deal is signed and sealed. All eyes are now on the execution of the FTA. And of course, we will be watching out for the US Fed's decision on rate cut as the FOMC is all set to kickstart today. Will Jerome Powell finally go ahead and give Donald Trump that 25 basis point rate cut? We'll get to that story. You're watching this edition of Morning Brief at 9. This is Morning Brief at 9. First up, let's bring you all the headlines we're tracking for you this Wednesday morning. India and the European Union seal historic free trade agreement, creating a 2 billion people market and slashing tariffs to boost trade, mobility and strategic ties. The India-EU Free Trade Pact is a blueprint for shared prosperity and a pillar for global stability in turbulent times, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India's energy sector offers a $500 billion investment opportunity as refining, exploration and upstream expansion accelerates, says Prime Minister Modi. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman performs the traditional Halwa ceremony, marking final stage of preparations for Union Budget 2026-27. Gold and silver surged to record highs in India yet again. Gold prices hit 1,66,000 rupees per 10 grams as safe haven demand spikes amid rising global trade and geopolitical tensions. Air India unveils the first custom-made Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner, marking a major milestone in fleet transformation after privatization. Adani Defence and Aerospace and Brazilian aerospace major Embraer sign an MOU to build indigenous regional transport aircraft manufacturing framework in India and connectivity. And there's a report that suggests Goa considers Australia and France-style law to ban social media use for children under 16 amid rising parental concerns. Swiggy enables food, grocery and dining bookings through AI tools like ChatGPT and Gemini with new model context protocol integration. So those are the headlines. But first up, as you know, it's just 4 days to go for Union Budget 2026. All eyes are on Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. And will she deliver Budget 2026 and a budget for a bulletproof Bharat? And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is all set to present Union Budget 2026. And the official kick-starting of the ceremony has taken place with the traditional Halwa ceremony. That's right, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman participated in the traditional Halwa ceremony on Tuesday, marking the final stage of preparations for the Union Budget 2026-27, which will be presented in the Lok Sabha on February 1st. The ceremony was held at North Block on Raisina Hill, while most of the Finance Ministry shifted to the Central Secretariat in September of last year. The Halwa ceremony continues to be held at North Block, maintaining long-standing tradition. The ritual involves preparing and serving the dessert to officials involved in budget making and formally signals the beginning of the lock-in period, during which officials remain scheduled and secluded until the budget is presented. Finance Minister also reviewed preparations at the budget press and extended her best wishes to the budget team. She was accompanied by Minister of State for Finance Pankaj Chaudhary and senior officials from the Finance Ministry. Well, let's stick to this budget story, and there is a lot of talk and a lot of expectation on what Budget 2026 has in store for the defense sector as well as for the indigenous drones that India is now manufacturing. And some of these expectations are indeed fairly high, with the defense sector expected to see a double-digit rise in budget allocation. In addition to that, remember the 6.81 lakh crore rupees allocated for the defense sector in 2025 is also likely to see a capital outlay increase from about 26% to 30%. In addition to that, expectations are also rife on whether the allocation for research and development, especially for drones and component manufacturing, is likely to increase. And overall, is there going to be a chance that we also see the production-linked incentive of the PLI see a boost for the defense as well as the drone manufacturing sector? Well, let's put all this and more in perspective. We have Ankit Mehta, the co-founder of Idea Forge, joining us on this edition. Ankit, thank you so much for your time, and what a pleasure seeing you again here on News 9. First up, I want to just understand from you, you being an indigenous drone manufacturer, evenly spread across defense as well as civilian use drones. And by the way, congratulations on the fabulous December quarter numbers that you posted yesterday and the expansion in US. But beyond that, just 3 days, 4 days to go for the budget. Now, what are your specific expectations, first on the defense side and then on the civilian side of drone use?
Thanks, Karthik. It's a pleasure to be here on the news with you. I think it's very important that when we look at defense sector and what we have seen in terms of the urgency that is needed, the budget should reflect that urgency in terms of empowering the country with as many assets that we require to defend ourselves in the short term, as well as set us up for that long-term scenario where the long-term scenario in defense plays out, in the sense that we need to make sure that indigenous design, developed and manufactured, the IDDM category gets its special place, gets special carved out budgets for it, so that we can do a very big drive on what is being actually designed, developed and built in India.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be very, very important.
All right. So there is, of course, the design element, but beyond that, there is also this talk about indigenization of components. So while I understand that design is something that India is already excelling at, and manufacturing, assembly of drones is something that India is doing very well, there is also talk about the components, especially the cameras and the sensors, and potentially if there could be schemes around those which would incentivize not just the assembly of drones, but also this critical, proprietary component piece that goes into these drones. Are there specific expectations or wants that you have from Budget 2026?
Yes, absolutely. So, looking under the hood and realizing where that tech is also coming from is going to become very important, Karthik. And therefore, in order for that to fructify and that to become an important fulcrum of impetus, we need to look at, and we are expecting that there will be an announcement on a PLI scheme for drones and drone components. That's going to be very important because it will help us build that layer where even the internals are indigenized and are very, very strongly built in India with a lot of depth of technology control. Because in a real war, when we are fighting the war, the loop of iteration has to be as short as possible. And it's only possible when the control on the tech is indigenous and at the ground level. And that's something that we are expecting that scheme to help us. Also, for development of technology, we need upfront investments. We need upfront capital. And that upfront capital, if it comes in the form of R&D funds, particularly with the announcement of the RDI scheme and progress over that, I am expecting that not just building components in India should get incentivized in larger numbers, but also the fact that we should have the ability to invest behind building the technology upfront.
So, of course, that is the PLI on components, which expectations are rife is likely to be brought in as part of Budget 2026 and the overall expansion of the PLI scheme as well. But then also other tax incentives. There are some expectations, especially from brokerages, which are suggesting that tax incentive, faster depreciation, as well as some relief, which you mentioned again on the capital cost itself, which includes both R&D as well as the setting up of plants. But overall, on tax incentives, is there something that you have in mind which the finance minister could potentially deliver on the 1st of Feb?
See, I think from the drones point of view, the first thing had already happened where the clarification on GST rates happened
Right.
a few months back. That I think is one part which has already helped the industry. I think from a overall tax and a subsidy on capital investments in the industry would again be very helpful because it will allow us to build upfront capacities, which is essential for a quick ramp up in production. Otherwise, quick ramp up in production cannot happen when we really need it in that one sense on the ground.
All right. Also talk to us about this Drone Shakti initiative, which the government is likely to further add momentum to this year. And this, as we understand, is a 10,000 crore rupee initiative. It's likely to be a 5-year incentive scheme. And what we mentioned, the component indigenization is likely to find its real sort of feet in this particular initiative. And then, of course, you also mentioned the dual subsidy framework, which already is in place, which is some relief on capex, about 15 to 20%, and the rest of it being production output driven. But do you see some sort of an increase in this Drone Shakti initiative? And is this something which is likely to increase at least the use case as much for civilian drones as it would for military drones?
So absolutely. I think from a Drone Shakti point of view, my belief is that it will be an amalgamation of all of these incentives on one hand. And then, of course, government, as you know, is one of the primary drivers of demand in this industry because a lot of the work that happens in the drone industry is related to large infrastructure on the civil side, or is it related to farming? And to boost both, if government is looking at investing heavily in the domain, then I would be very, very excited and happy to look at what's going to come there, where demand galvanization and demand increase happens in relevant areas, because those are areas that anyway serve a lot of our infrastructure and other domains.
You operate in the European market and now you're also expanding in the US market. Overall, do you believe, Ankit, in your opinion, that there should be potentially some export orientation schemes also for the drone sector in Budget 2026, especially given the fact that EU is increasing its defense budgets, and just yesterday we signed the India-EU FTA as well. And there is this larger defense cooperation also in the works as part of that FTA and beyond with EU. Overall, do you believe that there needs to be some export orientation and focus on really making Indian drones and Indian defense equipment capable of export to global markets as well as especially the advanced markets?
I think overall in terms of exports, one of the areas that we need to pay a lot of attention is to how do we promote successful technologies over here, the things that have cleared our overall, you can say evaluation criteria, have been qualified to be worthy of induction in the Indian Armed Forces. How do we make sure that we promote it very aggressively elsewhere in the world by setting up demonstrations, by boosting the industry, by ensuring that we are a part of the overall defense initiative that is happening between various bilateral dialogues and conversations? That's one part of what is required, and any boost that we can get to maintain or ease out the delta that comes by being from India presently, which is at a lower manufacturing base in defense as compared to some of our rival countries in the same space, would be very, very helpful for the industry to pitch itself more aggressively globally and then grab a lot of market share.
All right. And overall, as far as the allocation goes, the entire defense pack attracts as much as 6.81 lakh crore rupees in allocation. Now, what we've seen over the last 4 years or so, and correct me if I'm wrong there, Ankit, is that the nature of warfare has changed drastically. First, we saw that with the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Then we've seen that in the Middle East also. And as well as in Operation Sindoor, we saw that that traditional forms of warfare are being replaced by modern warfare equipment like drones, like cyber attacks, and, and more precision-oriented oriented long-range missiles. So overall, as part of the defense budget, do you think there needs to be some sectoral allocation which needs to look at this modernization of equipment for warfare, as opposed to perhaps just investing in building aircraft which can traditionally be bought from more advanced markets like France or even US for that matter, and Russia?
Absolutely. I think the nature is changing. Robots and drones and cyber areas are going to become the frontline vectors of attack or frontline vectors of defense as well, because they can robotically team and act faster than any other conventional system that's dependent on humans. And therefore, a lot of the war is going to, in future, become software defined. And if it is going to become software defined, we have to ensure that unmanned systems or unmanned technology or robotics and cybersecurity and connected infrastructure is our first line of defense or offense. And that is something which needs a greater boost on. And that is where a lot of indigenous capability at the subsystem level has to come in, because the iteration speed at that level is going to be very, very large. Right. And that iteration speed cannot be sustained unless we have that level of depth in indigenization and allocated budgets for boosting that part.
All right, well, let's leave it at that for this morning. Thank you so much, Ankit Mehta. Pleasure having you here with us on News 9 for really telling us all that one should expect from Budget 2026, especially when it comes to defense sector as well as drone manufacturing. And as India counts down to the Union Budget 2026, agriculture is back at the center of the policy debate, not just as a lifeline for millions of farmers, but as a stress test for growth, climate resilience, as well as food security. The Union Budget 2026 is being closely watched for signals of real reform in agriculture, whether the government sticks to the continuity or moves decisively towards tech-driven, climate-smart and market-linked agriculture. Take a look.
As India heads into the Union Budget 2026, agriculture once again emerges as both an economic pillar and a policy stress test. In Budget 2025, the centre allocated over 1.5 lakh crore rupees to agriculture and allied activities, while setting an ambitious agricultural credit target of 30 lakh crore. The sector contributes around 18% of India's gross value and supports nearly half of the workforce. And yet, productivity, income stability and climate resilience remains under pressure. India's agricultural reality is defined by smallholders. Nearly 86% of farmers operate on less than 2 hectares of land, making them highly exposed to climate volatility, rising input costs, and price swings. Experts argue that without targeted climate and market buffers, income volatility will persist despite rising budget allocations. Agriculture is now central to India's climate challenge. The country generates over 500 million tons of crop residue every year, much of it burnt, worsening air pollution and greenhouse emissions. Policy experts say Budget 2026 must integrate climate resilience, farm income and waste-to-value strategies into a single framework. Ahead of the budget, industry bodies are pressing for a bioenergy pivot. The All India Sugar Trade Association has sought 2,500 crore rupees for advanced biofuels. The industry argues ethanol-based bioenergy could stabilize cane payments and reduce dependence on sugar cycles. Technology is increasingly seen as agriculture's shock absorber. There are calls to accelerate the digital agriculture mission, backing AI-led crop monitoring, drones and precision mapping. Yet, India's total public and private R&D spending remains around 0.7% of GDP, well below global peers. Experts warn that without sustained R&D funding, digital agriculture risks remain fragmented. Despite employing nearly half the workforce, agriculture continues to suffer from low productivity and limited value addition. India's agriculture market is projected to grow from 31 lakh crore rupees in FY25 to 38 lakh crore by FY30 at about 4% annual growth. As Budget Day approaches, markets and farmers will be watching for key signals: direction of agri-spending, new seeds bill, and agri and food export push. For India, agriculture is no longer just a welfare story. It is a growth, climate, and food security imperative. Budget 2026 now faces a clear choice between incremental continuity and structural transformation. As climate risks intensify and global food systems evolve, the decision taken on 1st February could determine whether Indian agriculture merely adapts or genuinely advances.
So adaptation versus advancement, that's the key question when it comes to India's agriculture budget this year. And with the union budget for FY 26-27 set to be presented by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Sunday, the 1st of February, all eyes are now on big policy decisions that lie ahead. News 9 has launched a special Budget 2026 poll, and your voice matters the most. All you've got to do is take out your phone, pop open that camera application and scan the QR code flashing on the screen right now. Take part and vote on the key question that will shape India's economic future. Remember, we are not making you do this for nothing. Winners with the most correct predictions will win Amazon vouchers and have an opportunity to also be featured on News 9. The question that we are asking you today, and go ahead, scan and vote. Do you think Budget 2026 will increase allocations to give a fresh push to affordable housing? That's the question on the screen right now. Vote with either a yes or a no and predict what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has in her Bahikhata for FY 26-27. Go ahead and scan. Do you think Budget 2026 will increase allocations to give a fresh push to affordable housing? And with that, we will slip into a very short break, but a lot more coming up on the other side of the break. You're watching Morning Brief at 9 right here on News 9.
घर है वही जहाँ सब संग हो, रिश्तों को रंग दो, दुनिया को रंग दो।
Birla Opus Paints.
टाटा कैपिटल 2 व्हीलर लोन्स के साथ इसने की अपनी नई बाइक की जिद पूरी।
खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
Taxes, jobs, housing, electric vehicles, defense. News 9 decodes the numbers behind the noise. You define India's growth story. Code what?
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
And breaking news coming in, Ajit Pawar's aircraft has met with a serious accident. The plane has crashed reportedly while attempting to land in Baramati. That is the breaking news coming. Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar's aircraft has reportedly crashed, and this crash and the accident occurred while the aircraft was attempting to land in Baramati airstrip. Well, that is a breaking news that is just flowing in. We are awaiting visuals from the crash site, but this, of course, is a serious incident, and these are live visuals that we are bringing for you from our TV9 Marathi channel. That seems to be the wreckage of the aircraft. This is an exclusive that TV9 has, and these visuals coming in from TV9 Marathi as we speak right now. The aircraft, it seems like a small body aircraft which was carrying Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar, has crashed while attempting to land. These are visuals from Baramati reportedly. That's the wreckage of the aircraft. That's the debris, completely charred, black fumes of smoke coming out, and some civilian staff there trying to rescue whatever seems to be left of that wreckage as we speak right now. These are the visuals on your screen, and the breaking news at this moment that Ajit Pawar's aircraft has crashed. We are still awaiting a reporter update on this breaking story, and we are trying to get a sense of whether there have been any spotting of passengers in that aircraft. But reports coming in as we speak that Ajit Pawar, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, was on that aircraft, and that aircraft has crash landed. It doesn't seem to have crash landed on a runway. It seems like a field in Baramati that the aircraft has eventually gone down in. And now we see uniformed personnel from the police at the site. These and first responders there, some in civilian clothing, trying to make sense of the situation. Grey fumes of smoke coming out. And this definitely is a serious incident in a field reportedly in Baramati. My colleague Sabyasachi joins me with more on this story. Sabya, what are we picking up? Is there any confirmation that Ajit Pawar was indeed in that plane?
Well, that's right. See, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra and NCP leader Ajit Pawar was in the aircraft, and the plane carrying NCP leader and Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar crashed this morning while attempting to land in Maharashtra's Baramati. Now you can see on the visuals that the crash was quite serious, and the rescue operation currently is going on, and Ajit Pawar is a stalwart leader as far as Maharashtra politics is concerned. Now we have to wait for the official confirmation, but the plane Ajit Pawar's plane had crashed in Baramati while it was landing, and currently on your screen you can see the visuals of the plane crashed, and the rescue operation currently is going on. And what we are picking from the sources is that the crash was quite serious, extremely serious, and
there are also some input that we are picking up. Do we know for sure whether it was a chopper or whether it was a plane? Because we are receiving some input that a chopper has gone down, but the visuals on the screen seem to suggest that it is an aircraft, and it seems like a small body aircraft at that.
That's right. See, it was a small body aircraft. Now, locals, what we are picking from the sources is that the locals who witnessed the crash had said that the 66-year-old leader Ajit Pawar was taken to hospital, but we have to wait for the official confirmation from the authority. Meanwhile, the crash was quite serious, as you can see on the visuals, and it was a small plane that was carrying the NCP leader and Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar. It was a private jet which crashed today morning while it was attempting to land in Maharashtra's Baramati.
It seems that the aircraft is not anywhere in the vicinity of an airstrip or a runway, and from the visuals that we are seeing right now, the fields which are visible in the vicinity of the crash site seem to suggest that potentially the pilot had to ditch the aircraft. And yeah, the visual confirmation now suggesting that it was indeed the tail of an aircraft which is visible, and not really a chopper. So it is an aircraft which has gone down in the field, and it seems that it is some distance away from the airstrip. So do we know whether the plane was trying to land anywhere in that vicinity of Baramati where the aircraft has gone down, or does it suggest that that the accident took place some distance away from the airstrip?
See, what we are learning from the sources is that the aircraft was trying to land, and at that particular time the crash happened at the Baramati. Now we have to wait for the official confirmation. Now what the information that we are picking is from the eyewitnesses who were present at the time when this incident happened. Now Ajit Pawar was in that aircraft. Now as per reports, he has sustained severe injuries. Now the entire crash was quite serious, as in the visuals you can see that the fire brigade team, the other officials are currently on the spot, and they are trying to douse off the fire. But local witnesses say that it was a very serious crash that took place at Baramati while the aircraft was trying to land. But we have to wait for the official details, as the authorities currently have reached the spot.
Are we picking up something on what Ajit Pawar's schedule for the day was? Because Baramati, just for our viewers to understand, is about 100 kilometers southeast of the city of Pune. It's about 250 kilometers or so from Mumbai. This, of course, is a small suburban town in the Tehsil district of Pune. And it seems that it was about 100 kilometers or so away from Pune, where the weather crash has indeed taken place. Sabyasachi, at this moment, do we know what was the origin and the destination for Ajit Pawar as this ill-fated aircraft went down in Baramati? Okay, Sabyasachi trying to ascertain more details at the moment, but Baramati, Pune district city, about 100 kilometers or so from the city of Pune, 250 kilometers from Mumbai, and it seems that it's a field and not really an airstrip or a landing runway where the aircraft has gone down. Fresh visuals coming in on your screen right now. First responders, some equipment in their hand. It seems like a fire dousing hose also at the crash site. Sabyasachi, are we picking up anything on what Ajit Pawar's scheduled movement for the day really was? Where did the aircraft take off from, and where was it scheduled to land?
Well, we have to wait for the details now. What we are learning from the sources that the accident happened during an emergency landing at Baramati, when what we are picking that around 4 to 5 people have sustained injuries. Now, Ajit Pawar, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, was flying to Baramati. Now, from the sources, we are learning that in fact the aircraft was trying for an emergency landing. At that particular time, the crash happened. Now, the eyewitnesses say that the incident, the crash was quite very, very serious. And in fact, at this particular time, the authorities, the fire brigade team, the local police have reached the spot, and they say that around 4 to 5 people were present in this aircraft, and they have sustained extremely serious injuries. So we have to wait for the official confirmation, as the authorities have currently reached the spot.
Just for the sake of our viewers' deeper understanding, there is an airstrip, a small airstrip in Baramati itself. It's about 12 kilometers or so from the city of Baramati in Pune district, and it's a regional
emergency
airstrip
landing,
primarily used for general aviation as well as for pilot training. It seems at this moment that the aircraft did not really make it to the runway, to the small airstrip, which is mostly meant for regional connectivity, but has come down in a field and has crashed and landed in a field. We are yet to ascertain what is potentially the status of the passengers as well as the pilots in that aircraft. Sabyasachi confirming there were about 4 to 5 people in that aircraft. From the visuals, it's fairly clear that it is a small body aircraft, not really a large commercial jet which has gone down. It seems like a private jet which has gone down in a field in Baramati. And visuals that we are seeing, earlier visuals, and now some fire which is doused, suggesting that obviously the crash is fairly intense, and not much really remaining of the aircraft's main body. We did see a part of the wing which is visible on the screen right now, as well as some part of the tail of the aircraft also visible.
पोलिसांची फौज देखील येथे दाखल झालेली आहे. विमान हे पूर्णतः जळून खाक झालेलं आहे. एकंदरीतच अग्निशमन दलाकडून देखील जे विमानाने पूर्णतः पेट घेतलेलं आहे ते विझवण्याचं काम चालू आहे. एकंदरीतच सकाळी उपमुख्यमंत्री अजित पवार हे सभेला येणार होते, मात्र उपमुख्यमंत्री अजित पवार या विमानामध्ये होते अशी माहिती मिळते आहे. एकंदरीतच बारामतीमधील जे कार्यकर्ते आहेत ते मोठ्या प्रमाणावरती विमानतळावरती दाखल झालेले आहेत. खऱ्या अर्थाने मोठ्या प्रमाणात कार्यकर्ते आपण पाहू शकता की कार्यकर्त्यांनी अगदी विमानतळाचा पूर्ण भाग गर्दी झालेली आहे, आणि पोलीस प्रशासन देखील कार्यकर्त्यांना जे घटना झालेली आहे किंवा विमान पूर्णतः जळून खाक झालेले आहे त्यापासून दूर करण्याचा एकंदरीत प्रयत्न करत आहे. घटनास्थळावरून सद्यस्थितीतली ही परिस्थिती पाहावयास मिळत आहे, आणि पोलीस पूर्णतः परिस्थिती जी गर्दी झालेली आहे ही नियंत्रण आणण्याचा सद्यस्थितीतला हा प्रयत्न करत आहेत. खऱ्या अर्थाने उपमुख्यमंत्री अजित पवार यांची आज सकाळी 9:30 वाजता सभा होती आणि 3 सभा होत्या जिल्हा परिषद पंचायत समितीच्या निवडणुकीच्या संदर्भात आणि त्यानंतर खऱ्या अर्थाने उपमुख्यमंत्री अजित पवार या विमानामध्ये आहेत असं माहिती कळते. एकंदरीतच आज सकाळपासूनच मोठ्या प्रमाणावरती जे कार्यकर्ते आहेत ते बारामती विमानतळ आहे ते जमण्यास सुरुवात झालेली आहे आणि आपण पाहू शकता की घटनास्थळावरती जे विमान आहे ते पूर्णतः जळून खाक झालेलं आहे आणि जे अग्निशमन नियंत्रण आहे यांच्याकडून पूर्णतः जी आग विझवण्याचा प्रयत्न केला जात आहे. परंतु एकंदरीत संपूर्ण बारामती किंवा आसपासच्या परिसरातील जे विमानतळाचा परिसर आहे जिथे विमानाची घटना घडलेली आहे या ठिकाणी खऱ्या अर्थाने बारामती व आसपासचे परिसरातील जे नागरिक आहेत किंवा जे मोठ्या प्रमाणावरती येथे विमानतळाच्या जवळ आलेले आहेत आणि कार्यकर्त्यांनी एकच गर्दी केलेली सद्यस्थितीत तरी पाहावयास मिळत आहे.
Across now to Rennie Ibrahim, senior journalist who's joining us on this story. Rennie, what are we really picking up? Is there any confirmation on the health of Ajit Pawar as well as the health of the crew, the pilots as well as the crew on board that aircraft? What are you picking up at the moment?
Well, this is amazingly, surprising information that is trickling in still. We must, however, wait till we get a final and accurate confirmation on the same. As we see, there are a lot of activists belonging to the NCP led by Ajit Pawar who have assembled around the crash site. And so as primary indications are, Ajit Pawar was to land in Baramati, and during that process, the plane has crashed. So we still need to be awaiting official confirmation. It would be premature for us to assess the whole details before things become clearly visible as also evident through official information.
All right, Rennie, we haven't really yet seen visuals of ambulances. I'm not sure if there are, but from what your sources are telling you, do we know which hospital Ajit Pawar and the crew of the aircraft have been taken to? Because as I understand, Baramati is a small township district of Pune, about a good 100 kilometers or so away from Pune. In fact, even visuals at the moment suggesting that the airstrip is nowhere really in the vicinity, and it seems that the pilot had to take an emergency measure to try and potentially land the aircraft, an emergency landing in a field. But are we picking up anything on how far the nearest hospital really is and which hospital would potentially Ajit Pawar have been taken to?
Well, for one thing, one can say this safely, is that Baramati is a well-developed, district and domain of the NCP party for years now. So we, to be very honest, Mr. Varghese, I have been informed about this development by your office itself. That is how I immediately hooked up and came online to join this particular newscast. So I'll be honestly humble about the fact that I'm not very much clued in. I am trying to reach out to people, although, the exigency of getting online immediately has not allowed me to still, speak to people and get some more further information. As we progress in our conversation, I'm hoping that I get some advisories as I've put out, messaging over the, short messaging service as well as WhatsApp to my contacts to find out exactly what is the official thing. So pardon my, inability to give you any confirmed facts right away. But as this story develops, I'm sure one will be able to get more accurate details coming in.
I think accurate details is what everybody is awaiting. Rennie, we appreciate the fact that you have jumped onto this broadcast even as you're trying to contact your sources and figure out what potentially could have gone down at Baramati. And these are the latest visuals that we are bringing, live visuals on the screen right now of first responders as well as some NCP party workers in the vicinity of Baramati who are at the crash site. We're also seeing uniformed police personnel as well as some civilian population there around the site of the wreckage, trying to make sense of, what potentially went down on that ill-fated flight that has crash landed in a field in Baramati. No airstrip in the vicinity. Remember, Baramati has a short airstrip suitable for regional connectivity, especially for the short body, the small body aircraft, one like potentially that Ajit Pawar was flying in this morning. We're also awaiting information on Ajit Pawar's health as well as the health details of the crew members, the pilots and other passengers who were potentially on board that aircraft which has reportedly gone down in Baramati. These are live visuals which we are bringing to you from TV9 Marathi, our Marathi channel, which has exclusive visuals for this story. And it seems that the wreckage is fairly devastating. The debris suggests that that the aircraft has sustained major fire burns. We also have now Brij Mohan, an NCP leader, who's joining us on the phone line. Mr. Brij Mohan, thank you so much for your time. So what are the details that we are picking up? Can you give us some confirmation of the health of NCP Chief Minister Ajit Pawar?
Yeah, just I myself landed at Delhi airport and I got this information. Then I asked some person at Baramati. He informed me that the accident has happened and Ajit Dada was in that plane, and there were 6 passengers total in that flight, the charter plane, and there is a huge flame in that aircraft. And that is very close to Baramati. This much I got the information. I am also searching and getting information, actually what's happened and what is the real situation just now.
Brij Mohan, what was Mr. Ajit Pawar's schedule for the day? Do we know where was he flying from and what was his expected destination to land? Was he scheduled to be in Baramati or was he heading onwards to Pune or some other city?
No, he was having program at Baramati, so he was reaching there. He was in a flight for that program. So he has to attend a program in Baramati. So he was flying for that program. This much I am having, this much information I am having just now. Let me confirm and then I will inform what's actually what happened there and what is the reality. Okay.
Brij Mohan, we will await more details from you, especially on the health and wellness of all the 6 people on board, including Minister Ajit Pawar. Meanwhile, we also have Jayant Menkar, a political analyst who's joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Mankar, thank you so much for being here on this very important developing story that we are tracking this morning for our viewers. Now, we understand that there were 6 people on board that ill-fated aircraft. We really don't have a confirmation yet on the health status of Ajit Pawar and the balance 5 members of crew as well as other passengers on the aircraft right now. But we know for a fact that that Mr. Ajit Pawar was scheduled to be at an event in the city where the aircraft has eventually gone down. So are there more details that you have at the moment, A, on what really happened, and B, the health status of Mr. Ajit Pawar? Okay, let's cut back to Rennie Ibrahim, who has some fresh information. Rennie, what are you picking up? What are your sources telling you?
Yes, I called up a senior official in Maharashtra governance, and he has said, sadly, yes, it is true that Ajit Pawar is no more. So that's the first confirmation I am just getting. I'm on WhatsApp communication with this officer, and he has informed me that yes, Rennie, sadly, it is true, and Ajit Pawar is no more. So I think we must, and it comes from authority. So it is certainly now being confirmed that Ajit Pawar was on that flight that has met with this accident, and the fact that he has not survived the plane crash. So please, Burgess, this is the first confirmation I am getting. So I'm immediately wanting our viewers to be able to access the same information also. This is indeed a very, very major setback for, I would even say, the state of Maharashtra, because the Mahayuti Alliance had just reconciled to a major civic elections process, and they were set to be taking the governance of the state ahead to another level of development. And this certainly has brought in a change dynamic in the political nature going ahead from here on. As you would remember, Mr. Verghese, in the last week or so, it was a very strong thought being played out across the news media that Ajit Pawar, who was now heading the NCP party, was in strong consultations with his uncle Sharad Pawar, and there was serious talks about the two NCPs coming together and merging as one all over again, after the bifurcation that happened a couple of years ago. So, keeping that in mind, also, this is a very, very major development that's happened. Politics apart, Ajit Pawar was a relatively young politician who had already served as the finance minister of Maharashtra, if I'm not mistaken, at least 9 times. So he had a very sharp way of functioning. He was known for his administrative skills. And, having been finance minister for so many times, his only regret, if I may put it that way, was that he was unable to ascend the post of chief minister of Maharashtra, even when he had the opportunity way back in 2004, when the undivided NCP party had secured more MLAs in Maharashtra's state assembly elections than the Congress party. And yet, at that time, the chief minister's post was handed over to the Congress. This was one of the major issues that had created discomfort and fissures in the NCP back then. And Ajit Pawar probably was rightly felt that he had been deliberately denied the chance to become the chief minister of Maharashtra. Unfortunately, with his passing, that eventuality will always remain an unfulfilled wish of the late Ajit Dada Pawar, if I may put it that way, since I've already got a confirmation that he is passed.
Thank you so much for breaking that piece of news which you've brought here right here on News 9. And while we are still awaiting official confirmation, senior sources have confirmed to Reni Ibrahim, who is on this broadcast with us, that Ajit Pawar, the NCP chief, is indeed no more. That is the breaking news coming in at this time. Remember, there were 6 people on board that ill-fated aircraft, a private aircraft, it seems a small body one, which has gone down in Baramati. No airstrip in the vicinity, and it seems that the aircraft did not make it to the airstrip. There were initial reports we were picking up that Ajit Pawar, as well as the balance 5 members on board that aircraft, were rushed to a hospital. But Reni Ibrahim and his top sources confirming to News 9 that Ajit Pawar is indeed no more. And that is the breaking news coming on your screens now. Ajit Pawar, the NCP chief, deputy chief minister of Maharashtra, has not survived the emergency landing attempt in Baramati. And of the 6 people who were on board that ill-fated aircraft, we know for a fact that Ajit Pawar is definitely no more. We don't know the health status of the remaining 5 people, including the crew, the pilots, and potentially other passengers who were in the aircraft during that attempted emergency landing. But the big news coming in at this moment, that NCP chief, deputy chief minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar, is no more. Visuals on your screen showing the devastating crash site, the debris, the charred parts of the aircraft, making it difficult or potentially just miraculous for any survivors. But at this moment, we know for a fact that that Ajit Pawar is no more and has not survived that aircraft. Jayant Menkar, political analyst, joins us on this broadcast. Mr. Menkar, while of course terrible news coming in for NCP Supremo Ajit Pawar's death and him not making it out of that air crash, but what does this mean for politics in Maharashtra, and what does this mean for NCP?
I mean, for politics and for NCP, in last whatever since 1960, there may be many deputy chief minister, but no deputy chief minister could become the chief minister of Maharashtra. In a way, deputy chief minister post was always jinxed. Gopinath Munde, who was deputy chief minister, was about to become the chief minister and he died in the accident. The same thing after 12 years is happening with Ajit Pawar, when the only deputy chief minister who could become the chief minister, that was fate. But no, he was also denied by the destiny. Well, I feel the process were already on, and in Pune, both the NCPs they came together for the municipal elections, and even talks were there for JDP elections. I feel there is likely to be merger, or both the NCPs will come together. With Ajit Pawar is not there, again the remaining NCP group will join hands with Sharad Pawar, and that's the thing politically it is happening. But there may be some more political upheavals because the NCP may completely change the gear, as whatever the defection took place from Mahavikas Aghadi to Mahayuti was because of Ajit Pawar. It is unlikely that anyone like Chhagan Bhujbal and others will stand up to fill the gap. And so I feel that there will be a merger of both the NCPs under the leadership of Sharad Pawar.
Right, so now there's likely to be a merger of sorts under Sharad Pawar. Reni Ibrahim, is that what you're picking up as well? The future of NCP and the future of politics in Maharashtra. Where is the story headed from here now that we have a confirmation that Ajit Pawar is indeed no more?
Well, Karthik, it's very premature at the moment to be delving into political possibilities in Maharashtra, but it is obviously a given that this is a huge setback for the NCP. I mean, the official NCP that was headed by Ajit Pawar. You know, after the original undivided party headed by Sharad Pawar was divided and bifurcated when Ajit Pawar, along with a large number of MLAs of the NCP, allied with the Mahayuti government. It must be remembered that he had done so only in keeping with the word that was given to the BJP earlier by his uncle Sharad Pawar, as has been repeated online on news channels several times. And while his uncle had changed his mind about going with the BJP, as he had decided earlier, Ajit Pawar always made this point. He said, look, this was decided and then my uncle backed off, but I prefer to keep my word, and therefore I joined the Mahayuti alliance of the BJP and the Shiv Sena led by Eknath Shinde in Maharashtra to form government, as was the word that was given to them. As my Jayant, my anchor, pointed out, that his aspiration to become chief minister could not be fulfilled, although there's a small correction. Devendra Fadnavis himself had become deputy chief minister in 2022 when Eknath Rao Shinde was elevated as chief minister of Maharashtra, and thereafter Devendra Fadnavis, who became DCM, had subsequently also been able to take charge as the chief minister of Maharashtra following the state assembly elections. And so that is, it's not completely true to say that whoever has become a DCM in Maharashtra has never been able to ascend to the post of chief minister. Devendra Fadnavis had actually, bucked that political trend, so to speak, and become the chief
completed the whole cycle, chief minister, then deputy chief minister, and then chief minister again. So absolutely correct observation there. Reni Ibrahim, Jayant Menkar, do stay with us. We also have Brajesh Pandey joining us from the newsroom with potentially more details. Brajesh, we are picking up now. In fact, even PTI has confirmed that Ajit Pawar was on the aircraft and has not survived the emergency landing attempt, and the aircraft crash has pretty much resulted in the death of Ajit Pawar, as well as 3 other passengers or potential crew members who were on board. We understand there were a total of 6 people. We have a confirmation of 4 people, including Ajit Pawar, dead. Are we picking up more details on the health of the other 2 potentially crew members or passengers who were on board that aircraft?
Well, Karthik, what we have been given to understand is that there were 5 to 6 people on the plane, and 5 people have been confirmed dead, including Ajit Pawar, his bodyguard, pilot. If you look at the debris of the plane and the fire which was there because of the crash, the chances of anybody surviving is highly unlikely. The death of Ajit Pawar has been confirmed, and 5 people who were there in the aircraft are confirmed dead. But we have also been given to understand that Supriya Sule and others who were in Delhi because of the start of the budget session from today they all have rushed to Baramati to reach the family members of Ajit Pawar. Also, his wife and his son have also rushed to the spot, and it's an extremely tragic turn of events. As you know, as at around 9:10, 9:15, between that time, the ATC got a call that the plane carrying Ajit Pawar has crash landed, and the impact of it was such that the plane broke into several pieces and caught fire, and the chances of anybody surviving from the kind of visuals which we are seeing on our air is almost next to impossible. Karthik?
Absolutely. Next to impossible for sure, but we did see in the AI-171 crash in Ahmedabad that there was one miraculous survivor. So I'm sure family members of all the 6 people who were on board that aircraft, at least those who are not yet confirmed dead, there would be some hope lingering that potentially a miracle could have saved at least 1 or 2 lives there. But no confirmation of any survivors just as yet, and in fact confirmation of 3 plus Ajit Pawar, making it a total of 4 people who have not survived that crash. Meanwhile, we were talking, Brijesh, about politics in Maharashtra and how the future of NCP sort of, takes on a new shape, a new avatar from here. Too early potentially to talk about succession planning, but was there one for the NCP?
Well, I think, it'll be extremely interesting to see how it pans out because, Ajit Pawar was the rising star. Once the NCP split, a majority of the MLAs went with Ajit Pawar. And it'll be very interesting to see, what is the future course of action those MLAs decide to take. Will they go back to the patriarch Sharad Pawar or, will they try to follow some kind of different course of action? But I think it's too early to say for sure because death of Ajit Pawar will have also led to a secession, if I may use the word, of political hostility between Supriya Sule and Ajit Pawar. There were many who thought that, that the best way to divide NCP would be to make sure that Supriya Sule, who is the national face of NCP, be there. Ajit Pawar, it is known that, he doesn't harbor that kind of national ambition, and he will be most happiest person if he gets the reign of NCP as well as the state of Maharashtra. So the formula which was being worked out when Sharad Pawar had sat on strike and all was that Ajit Pawar becomes the president of NCP and Supriya Sule becomes the face of NCP in Delhi. But with the demise of Ajit Pawar, all that equations have been thrown awry, and it'll be very, very interesting to watch out. Once the dust settles, once the the final rites are performed, as to which way now the politics of NCP will move along as far as Maharashtra is concerned.
All right. Well, let's see how the political story and especially the future of NCP pans out from here. But Rini Ibrahim, any other confirmation from your source on what potentially was the cause behind the crash that we are seeing visuals of? Is there anything that you're picking up on what was the communication between the pilot and the ATC, or any distress signal, any SOS issued by the pilot before the crash eventually took place?
Well, I had actually been able to confirm it through a senior IAS officer. So, that is why I was able to get the confirmation and be able to, relay it over the news channel. However, reasons and causes, it would be still very, very premature. If I may only add a little bit to what Brij Mohan was saying just now regarding the political scenario, how it develops. The only other leader in the Ajit Pawar-led Nationalist Congress Party of stature would be Mr. Chandan Bhujbal, who had also served as a deputy chief minister in the NCP, the undivided NCP, back in 2004 when there were state assembly elections, and just before that. So when it comes to the whole political play that is going to result going ahead, there are people like Praful Patel who also threw in his lot with Ajit Pawar when the latter decided to tie up in alliance with the Mahayuti government of Maharashtra. So by that virtue, it is still very premature to suggest that there may be a merger, although that was the hectic discussions that were ongoing, and Ajit Pawar and his uncle had also allied together for the recent civic elections that were held in Pune as well as Pimpri Chinchwad, two of the second and third largest budget owning civic corporations in Maharashtra after Mumbai's Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation. So it is still early days to suggest, because obviously there are alliance challenges that come in the way of a simple merger of the two NCPs. And there are senior leaders, even in the Ajit Pawar-led NCP, like Chhagan Bhujbal, just to name one. There are several other leaders who have been with the NCP party for years. So it is still early days to suggest an instant, a merger between the two power factions. But it is also true that any time of crisis in the NCP, they have all rushed to Sharad Pawar, who is now one may say the late Ajit Pawar's uncle. So that is the one dynamic that has remained constant, even though they split. Ajit Pawar would always consult his uncle on issues, as would other NCP leaders who went with him. For instance, Chhagan Bhujbal was a surprise when he joined up with the Ajit Pawar faction and joined the Mahayuti government. And this was all done at Ajit Pawar's bungalow back then. And it suddenly came to light, as I learned, on the same day myself, that Supriya Sule happened to have, been told that all the MLAs were assembling at Ajit Pawar's residence and residential bungalow in Mumbai. And suspecting something was afoot, she had immediately reached the spot and confronted, in a manner of speaking, Ajit Pawar, though she was never a confrontational kind of person. And he said, you don't bother about what we are up to. You just go and manage your Lok Sabha constituency. So in Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar always had maintained his numero uno status within the NCP. And that was probably one of the reasons why, Sharad Pawar Sr. Was concerned about the political prospects of Supriya Sule. And hence, he also was for a long time contemplating having a tie-up with the BJP government, not just in Maharashtra, but also in Delhi. And as I understood, his keenness to have Supriya Sule elevated as the Agriculture Minister of India was the bone of contention, with the BJP at the center unwilling to accommodate her in that post. Thereafter, we saw what happened, how the Ajit Pawar faction broke off and joined the Mahayuti alliance in government. Even in the center, if you notice, Praful Patel was not being offered a good enough post as a union cabinet minister.
That's right.
And therefore, they did not take the second Minister of State post that was offered to them at the center. So these are political dynamics of arrangements and convenience and political deliberations that now will follow in a hectic pace here on, to see how the political future of the NCP, the two NCP political formations, plays out in Maharashtra as well as in Delhi.
That's right. So, Jan Menkar, just take it forward from here. I mean, the historic account which we just heard from Rene Abraham, in a way suggesting that perhaps a reunification of NCP, the two factions, the two blocks, really not likely to survive as two independent blocks, could potentially look at a reunification, and we could have one NCP. If that were to be a hypothesis on the table right now, then what happens to the 8 MLAs who, along with Ajit Pawar, had defected to the Shiv Sena alliance? What happens to that alliance, in a manner of speaking?
There is only two choices in front of now Ajit Pawar faction: either to go back to Sharad Pawar camp or to join BJP directly. Because Chhagan Bhujbal, whose name is, another senior most minister, but health-wise, he is not even in that position. He had undergone some health issues recently. Others like Sunil Tatkare and even Praful Patel, they don't stand the chances to lead Ajit to fill the gap. So this is also unlikely. Ajit Pawar's elder son may be roped in. He had contested from Mawal constituency in 2019 unsuccessfully. He may be roped in. He may become MLA, or maybe obviously the candidate from Baramati. But overall, it seems there is for the Ajit Pawar camp left only with two options: either to go back to Patriarch or to go back and merge with BJP. The independent status that Ajit Pawar maintained, for the last 2-3 years, that is unlikely to continue.
Thought, Mr. Menkar, there is more breaking news coming in at the moment, and let's read it out here for our viewers that there is an emergency meet of the Maharashtra State Cabinet now likely. Also in the interim, the Director General of Civil Aviation has ordered a high-level probe into the plane crash. Remember, we are getting details. It was a Learjet aircraft, an 8-seater aircraft that went down in the district of Baramati. An emergency meet of the Maharashtra State Cabinet, as well as the DGCA ordering a high-level probe into the plane crash, is what we are breaking at this moment. The inquiry has been ordered to identify the cause of the incident. What really went down, what transpired in those final few moments before that aircraft eventually went down. This is the breaking news that we are picking up at this moment right now, right here on News 9. And the big story coming in that Ajit Pawar is no more. Ajit Pawar has not survived the plane crash in Baramati. In fact, just to recap for all viewers joining it at this hour, that Ajit Pawar was en route to Baramati from Maharashtra. Remember, the two cities are about 250 kilometers away. Baramati has a small airstrip suitable for regional connectivity. Small aircraft like the Learjet, the air-seater Learjet, which unfortunately crashed. The airstrip is meant to accommodate those aircraft, allow them to take off and land from Baramati. It was a scheduled meeting for Ajit Pawar. It was a scheduled event, and Ajit Pawar was to be in the district of Baramati today. But it seems some distance away from the airstrip is where the aircraft has eventually gone down. We're getting visuals of a field. First responders there, followed by some action from the state police, and then the fire workers with those large fire hoses trying to douse the fire. Black fumes later changing color to grey. There were initial reports suggesting that 6 people as part of the crew, the pilots as well as passengers, including Ajit Pawar, were on the aircraft when it went down. There was also an understanding at that moment that that they have all been rushed to a hospital, but later on we get the confirmation that Ajit Pawar indeed has not survived the air crash. These are live visuals on your screen right now. The crash site has been cordoned off. We see at least 2 fire tenders on location at the moment. First responders as well as some police officials as well as fire workers there trying to douse the fire and try and see what remains of the aircraft and the crash itself. We are seeing that the Learjet, which has its tail still intact, at some level could potentially suggest that the aircraft would either have gone down nose down or might have tilted on either of its wings. But we're also seeing one wing broken and that wing pretty much intact, but large fumes of smoke suggesting that there was enough fuel in the aircraft and the fuselage was among the first to have crashed and taken potentially the lives of at least 4 people dead, including Ajit Pawar. That is what we are picking up at the moment right now. All right, so let's go back to Jayant Menkar, and Jayant Menkar was telling us about the 2 potential possibilities, and potentially low on the probability of that is Jagan Bhujbal really having the command and control of the NCP faction, the faction which was led by Ajit Pawar, and potentially NCP could, as one of the possibilities, if not a probability, could look at a reunification. Take it forward from here, Jayant Menkar.
Yeah, I mean, that is what is in front of them, particularly against the backdrop, as you also said in the discussion, that Rani also said that the 2 factions were together during Pune Municipal Corporation elections. There was a sort of understanding, talks going on between Ajit Pawar and Sharad Pawar. Even on the dais, on many occasions, the relations became cordial. So in a way, there were talks. Is it possible that we can come together and for the local bodies, Jilla Parishad elections, both the NCPs were told by their leaders that we will work together. In a way, I dare to say this statement. Though Ajit Pawar, a known open liberal, not in a way committed to some sort of radical thoughts, was unfit in BJP cadre. That's what I may dare to say. But he was there politically because something he was unhappy with his own uncle. His uncle did not make him the top post that he had given to Supriya, and that particular reason annoyed Ajit Pawar and said, "This you are doing just because I am not your son." He has said it openly, this statement, and that particular incident that Supriya will be the working president, Ajit Pawar will not be there. That hit him so much that though he is not fit in Mahayuti, I repeat, though he is not fit, his thoughts are not at all fit for BJP sort of government, but he preferred because there was no option. And he went to BJP, though many times his statements were like this: that is he taking on complete BJP government? It was like that. But that particular thing forced, in a way, forced Ajit Pawar. And of course, I lead between space and everything, but to go to BJP camp. But now, as the destiny has changed everything, entire the Ajit Pawar camp, including his wife, his son, who lost Lok Sabha elections in 2019, as I said, because Sharad Pawar was not happy to give him the candidature. So everything, all these things will be sorted out. And I feel that there are only two options: either to join BJP camp completely and to seize our own existence, or to go to the parent party. And in this situation, I feel that going back to parent party will be acceptable more, because I don't see any leader who will be in the shoes of Ajit Pawar to take over the party's mantle or the leadership.
So potentially going back to the parent party, going back to the one supremo, Sharad Pawar's tutelage could potentially be one of the outcomes of this tragic air crash which has taken the life of Ajit Pawar, the NCP chief. Well, Rene, let's move away from politics for just a moment and talk to us about Ajit Pawar, the person. Talk to us about his temperament. Any anecdotes that you can recall of your meetings with him or your observation of Ajit Pawar, the person, and not really the politician?
Well, he was, very reluctant to get engaged in, conversations with journalists. He would do what were the standard meetings in place. The winter session was always at Nagpur and always marked by the fact that Ajit Pawar would in fact visit the journalists enclave that would be, housed at the Suyog State Government Guest House for every winter session of Maharashtra State Legislature. And he would come and have an interaction with the journalists early morning. Ajit Pawar was well known for his punctuality and his adherence to time, to the second. Very often some journalists, including myself, found ourselves on the wrong side of the press conference because Ajit Pawar would have already arrived on time, delivered his conversation or advisories to the news media, and left on schedule. So he was a stickler for time. On top of that, he was he was credited very highly for his administrative skills. So he had a sharp tongue, and he ensured that work got done. He had that particular nature. Few bureaucrats would cross his path, because he was a man who was known to be sharp-tongued when he found there were some deficiencies or lack of efficiency in deliveries from bureaucracy. In Maharashtra, it was very well known that all bureaucrats would be on their toes when it came to Ajit Pawar's department. And as you know, he was heading finance. He was delivering the budgets of Maharashtra for the last two occasions that it was presented before the state legislature. And his ability to get things done as once it was approved was unmatchable, you could say. His ability to keep his flock together was neither under any doubt either. So that is one thing you could say about Ajit Pawar's style of working, that although he was under the shadow of his uncle, Sharad Pawar, he had, as I told you earlier, correct me if I'm wrong, Jayant, I think he was finance minister at least 8 or 9 times. So I may be wrong on that, but he had been a finance minister of Maharashtra several times. And therefore, the only stumbling block that came into the picture, and as Jayant pointed out, was Sharad Pawar's keenness, obviously, as a father, to ensure that his daughter, Supriya Sule, enjoyed a unhindered political passage in the party and in politics of India. That obviously because he knew that Ajit Pawar he had also become a larger than life political figure in Maharashtra, and that probably to an extent worried him because, like any father would consider what would happen to my daughter's political future after me, with Ajit Pawar being looming and dominant political factor in the NCP. So these are all things now of the past because Dada is no more, and all the same, it's going to take some time. And like Jayan said, I still feel that it would be the BJP that would be keen to carry on with the NCP as is, and which may see the elevation of somebody like Chagan Bhujbal, although Jayan points out that his health-wise he's not been in the best of places. Because Chagan Bhujbal, you must remember, Karthik, has been, he had emerged as the leader of the OBC community. This was before he was arrested and jailed for 2 years, after which he has been fully exonerated, in several cases related to which he had to serve jail time. So he has been the emerging force for the OBC community, and that is something that the BJP will always value. I mean, even apart from Maharashtra, if you look at Rajasthan or Haryana, the BJP is always very focused about the OBC community or the farming community because they know that that segment of the population has a huge impact on political fortunes in India. I mean, you see Prime Minister Narendra Modi never loses an opportunity to cite that he himself belongs to the OBC community. But Chagan Bhujbal had ascended to a national level, while being in Maharashtra politics, and he had ascended to the national level, and it was often said that he was targeted because he was assuming such a large political stature as the leader of the OBC community, not just in Maharashtra, but even at the national level. And thereafter, we saw his fortunes, sort of stumble because he was arrested. And now it's come a full circle with his exoneration in the Maharashtra Southern case, be it, or even another ED-related case. So that is what, gets me to think that a leader of that stature as Ajit Dada would only logically be Chagan Bhujbal, his good health being, of course, of criterion, as Jayant Mayankar pointed out.
Rennie, I will come back to you because it's also interesting how fate has its own way, because it was this Baramati constituency which served as Ajit Pawar's entry into legislative life, and this was the year 1991, and as fate would have it, it is the same Baramati where his life pretty much ended with that air crash that we are seeing visuals of this morning. We'll also talk about his career before politics, and like you mentioned, I don't have a number of confirmation of the number of years that he has served as the finance minister, but I know 6 terms as the deputy chief minister of Maharashtra, not really making it to the seat of chief minister, but obviously a leader well regarded for his administrative as well as his financial acumen, which was on display through his career, both first as the chairman of the Central Cooperation Bank in Maharashtra, and then, of course, in his political life. The entry point of that political life, incidentally, being Baramati, where tragically his life has ended with that plane crash. Fresh visuals on your screen right now from the crash site. A lot more people than we had seen earlier on. First responders, police, fire, rescue workers, as well as some officials from the NCP party is what we are picking up right now. We also have Sanjay Lazar, aviation expert, joining us on this broadcast. Sanjay, what we know right now is that a Learjet 8-seater, tail intact, one wing more or less intact, has gone down in a field, no airstrip in the vicinity. Any preliminary input of what might have really transpired in those final moments before the aircraft went down?
Thank you for having me on your show. Yes, it's a very, very sad, tragic news to, wake up on a morning of the wings is starting. It's Ajit Dada was a giant in Maharashtra politics. Yes, I'm reading the DGC occurrence report, and it says Learjet 45 VT-SSK has gone down next to Baramati airport with 5 personnel on board, and the Deputy CM of Maharashtra was on board. With 2 personnel, 1 PSO, 1 attendant, and the 2 flight crew. Nobody on board has survived. We can look from the images that you are displaying that it's a complete fireball, and it's actually not too far away from where I am. I'm barely about 10 kilometers away from this site, really. And it's a sad day. We really don't know what could have happened because he was almost in sight of Baramati airport. So this has not happened too far away from that, the landing spot. So, I guess the DGCA investigators are already on their way there, and we'll just wait and see. I can only surmise it must have been, some technical problem because pilots who fly the chief minister, the deputy chief minister, etc., of very, very high caliber, very great experience, and their, skill to take on this kind of a, emergency. So it's a big, big loss to Maharashtra, Pune, Baramati, and India also.
Sanjay, but since you mentioned you're just about 10 kilometers or so from the crash site, is there anything that you're picking up inadvertent, either about the wind pattern or the weather per se? Because it seems like a fairly clear day. Visibility seems fairly good. Is there something really different about either the wind direction or maybe visibility in the farm area, the field area where the aircraft has gone down?
I'm in their Lok Sabha constituency. I live in that constituency, and let me tell you, it's a bright, sunshiny, clear day. There's absolutely nothing, to have disturbed this aircraft. We don't know. Nothing that, emerges at the moment when I look outside the window or look on the road. But it's a pall of gloom that has descended right across Baramati district. And, I was hoping for the, best, that somebody would have survived. Unfortunately, we got the DGCA flash that it's confirmed it. Really not much more that I can say. Let's just wait to see what happens. I can see there are images of the Pawar family reaching the site as well on your television screen. So
get those visuals. Let's cut those visuals full frame and see. We have visual confirmation. Supriya Sule as well as Sunitra Pawar. Supriya Sule, remember, Sharad Pawar's daughter, late Ajit Pawar's cousin, and also Sunitra Pawar, both in that in the visual on the right side of your screen. Well, we have been made to understand that Supriya Sule was in fact in Delhi for the budget session of the parliament that kickstarts today, but has since decided to take a flight and head off to Baramati, where Ajit Pawar has tragically died in the air crash. We are getting those latest visuals right now. It looks like those visuals are potentially from Delhi. It's only 10:20 as we speak right now, less than an hour or just a little over an hour since that Learjet aircraft went down in a field in Baramati, and Supriya Sule and Sunitra Pawar there heading potentially to Delhi airport to try and find an aircraft which can ferry them to Baramati, where mortal remains of Ajit Pawar would remain. Well, we also have with us Sanjay Lazar, who was telling us that it's a bright, sunny day in Baramati. In fact, that's where Sanjay Lazar is joining us from, just about 10 kilometers or so from the crash site. And these are visuals, the latest visuals that we are bringing off the crash site where that ill-fated aircraft did go down. A much larger gathering of people, mostly in civilian clothes. We understand that some NCP party workers are there on location as well, in addition to first responders, as well as the police uniformed personnel as well as fire tenders. There were visuals of at least 2 fire tenders, and from the latest visuals on the screen right now, it seems that most of the fire has indeed been doused, and DGCA, the Director General of Civil Aviation, has ordered a probe into the potential cause of the incident, which has taken the life of Ajit Pawar, as well as 5 additional people on crew. That's the other confirmation we've got, that of the 6 people who were on board that Learjet aircraft, none of them have survived. We understand that there was a personal staff officer as well as a security personnel attached to Ajit Pawar who were with him in that aircraft. We don't have a confirmation yet on whether this particular model, the 8-seater Learjet, was a single pilot or a 2-pilot aircraft. But yeah, 3 people belonging to the crew have also died in the air crash that we are seeing visuals of on the screen right now. Just a little while back, we were talking to Reni Ibrahim about Ajit Pawar, the person, not really the politician, and his punctuality and his being on time and ensuring that every meeting started on time, including with the press, with journalists, press conferences, sort of set him apart as a politician. We also heard from other voices on the broadcast what giant Ajit Pawar was in the political picture, not just in the state of Maharashtra, but for the country as well. Now, incidentally, Reni, we were talking about the entry point of Ajit Pawar into the Legislative Assembly, and his Lok Sabha seat indeed was Baramati, the same city where his aircraft has gone down and claimed his life today. Pretty much turn of fate that one can never really foresee, and it was this particular seat after his 1991 win which Ajit Pawar had vacated for his uncle Sharad Pawar to really take on. Just talk to us about that era of politics when Ajit Pawar, a new entrant, had just stepped into politics from a banking career.
हमारे लिए बहुत शौक की बात में है कि हमें बता नहीं सकते हम बात में ऐसा, लेकिन हमने देखा है कि पायलट ने भी ट्राई किया होगा कि लैंडिंग करने का, लेकिन लैंडिंग हुआ नहीं है। ये बहुत शौक वाली घटना है। हमने देखा पूरा एक नीचे आ रहा था, ट्रैप पे आ रहा था, ट्रैप के नजदीक एक 100 फुट से नजदीक आके गिर गया है।
This account there suggesting that the aircraft had come down to a vicinity of about 100 feet or so before it fell down on the ground. Of course, the eyewitness there not in a position to really confirm whether a landing attempt was made or not, but did confirm visually from his estimation that the aircraft had climbed down to about 100 feet or so in altitude. Remember, we also heard from Sanjay Lazar just a while back that the airstrip was pretty much in line with the crash site. So potentially the pilot was attempting to take the aircraft till the airstrip, but one doesn't really know at this point what really happened in those final moments before the aircraft really went down. Reni, I was trying to bring you back into this conversation and really talk about the twist of fate in a way that that Baramati was the constituency which served as the entry point for Ajit Pawar into Lok Sabha back in 1991, a seat which he vacated for his uncle Sharad Pawar, who he eventually fell out with, one can say politically, even though not ideologically or as a relationship between an uncle and a nephew. But thereafter, Baramati, pretty much the same city that took Ajit Pawar's life through that air crash that we have been talking about. Just tell us about Ajit Pawar's early days in politics, that period beginning 1991, after a fairly successful banking career that he held for about 15 years plus.
1991 was the year when he was elected as an MLA from Baramati. And if I may add, the 2024 State Assembly elections was in fact his biggest challenge, because the NCP party had been bifurcated, with him having left along with a lot of MLAs to the BJP. And it almost seemed that Ajit Pawar would probably be punished by the voters of Baramati for having deserted his uncle and taken away the NCP party, of which Sharad Pawar was the founder father in 1999, when he himself had broken away from the Congress party over the issue of Sonia Gandhi's foreign origin that he made an issue and broke away from the Congress party in. So the same party having been taken away officially by Ajit Pawar, and it was considered in 2024 state assemblies that it would be a tough challenge for Ajit Pawar to get elected from his own bastion, which was also the bastion or the Lok Sabha bastion of Sharad Pawar. His daughter subsequently, Supriya Sule, when Sharad Pawar chose to contest from the Mahad Lok Sabha seat. So Ajit Pawar came back with a resounding win. He was able to convince the voters that he was the politician of the future. And the same thing, if you see, whenever the NCP, during Ajit Pawar's tenure from 1991, whenever there was any kind of political challenges, I can cite one in 2004, when Sharad Pawar was faced with the prospect of having to replace his finance minister in Maharashtra. Jayant Rao Patil was the finance minister of Maharashtra.
Now coming in from Baramati and of course the political fallout of the tragic accident that Ajit Pawar was part of, an air crash which eventually claimed his life. An official word likely from NCP around now. Let's hand over now to Kartikeya Sharma, who joins me on this broadcast. Kartikeya, a towering figure in Maharashtra politics, six-time Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar is no more. What does this really mean for Maharashtra politics?
I think more than Maharashtra, Maharashtra politics, if you allow me, I would say that, this is not the first time these VVIP accidents have taken place. I think there needs to be some sort of a thorough inquiry, Kartik. Because if you recall in 2009, YSR Reddy, after winning elections in Andhra Pradesh, he passed away. The jury is still out whether he asked the pilots to fly through the dense, thick fog cover. And these VVIP accidents are not new. Chief of Defence Staff, Bipin Rawat passed away in the helicopter crash. This is an aircraft crash. Madhav Sandhya passed away. Bala Yogi passed away in a helicopter crash, Lok Sabha Speaker. There have been number of cases. Sanjay Gandhi was a case, whereby, another VVIP who passed away in a glider crash. So number of such similar crashes have taken in which VVIPs have passed away. Dorji Khandu, the Chief Minister of Arunachal Pradesh, passed away in a helicopter crash. A number of cabinet ministers were actually involved at that point of time in Arunachal Pradesh to actually hunt for his last remains. And now this has happened. So for me there are two stories here, Kartik. Obviously there is a political story. I know our esteemed guests are talking about it. I know it's not the time, maybe later in the evening, what happens to the NCP, because there was some sort of a rapprochement that was taking place between Sharad Pawar and Ajit Pawar. So that's for another time, because there is no other leader in Ajit Pawar's party. Praful Patel and other people have gone. This real story is what happened to the aircraft. I mean to say, how far was the crash spot from the runway? One. Secondly, pilots are divided into from Octa 1 to Octa 2 to Octa 3 to Octa 4. Octa 7, Octa 8 are trainers of the trainers. Who were these pilots? But which Octa, out of that Octa 8, which Octa were they supposed to fly? Were they Octa 3 capable, Octa 4 capable? That's important. Secondly, was it a single rotor aircraft or a double rotor aircraft? We have no clarity. Was it a double rotor aircraft? That's the second thing. And we understand that the most important aspect for a pilot is landing. That's the toughest part. Now, was there bad weather involved?
Right, so let's break down all these important questions which you're asking one by one from what we know. So Sanjay Lazar was on the broadcast some time back and he's exactly 10 kilometers from the crash site. In fact, resident in the city of Baramati where the aircraft has gone down. The weather seems good. It's a sunny day and Sanjay Lazar, an aviation expert, has confirmed to us on News 9 that it is a sunny day, no real abnormality when it comes to the wind pattern. The aircraft was in the visual sighting distance of the airstrip. It's a short airstrip It is an airstrip which will accommodate a Learjet 8-seater aircraft meant for VVIP movement, like the one that tragically Ajit Pawar has died in. So what we know is that the weather is definitely good. What we know is that the aircraft has crashed in the vicinity of the airstrip. But what visuals are telling us is that the aircraft did not make it to the runway and has incidentally gone down in a field in the vicinity, potentially just falling short of the runway and crashing in the vicinity of the runway in a field. So that is what we know at the moment.
You understand these things. Let me tell you what the Baramati airport is, and we'll be putting out. We'll be putting out these graphics very soon. See, Baramati Airport is primarily a regional airstrip.
Regional connectivity.
Used for general aviation
small body
and
aircraft.
pilot training.
Absolutely.
Is located in Maharashtra with 1,770 meter long, which is 5,800 feet by 30 meter wide runway 11/29, Karthik.
Right.
Now, it is owned by MIDC and operated by Reliance Airport Development Group, featuring an advisory tower, 100 meter into 75 meter apron and basic amenities. Now, the runway and airfield is equipped with turning pads at both ends, 16 LCN strength rating and signal square located between taxi A and taxi B. Now, the capacity usage is designed for smaller aircraft and is used as a training facility academy for Carver Aviation. Number 3, an advisory tower, frequency 129.25 megahertz, is managed by senior pilots to guide local traffic. Accessibility, the site includes basic accessible infrastructures, parking and restroom. Now, what I want to know is, in this, what sort of an airport infrastructure is this?
Right. So these are typically what are called the short takeoff and landing, STOL, meant for regional connectivity. It means that there are 2 taxiways but 1 runway, which means in case of a change in wind pattern, the pilot may not have really an option to go around and land on another airstrip, because this short takeoff and landing runway strip has only 1 runway and not 2, which most large airports do. Now, what we know about the Learjet aircraft, especially the one which has gone down, is that it is a 2-engine aircraft. Now, go back, less than 8 months, 9 months ago, Kartikeya, the AI-171 flight that crashed in Ahmedabad, the Dreamliner, was also a 2-jet aircraft, right? Now, 2-engine aircraft. 2 engines packing up together simultaneously is a rarity, unless, of course, there is a supply of fuel issue in the aircraft. Now, that is something which, of course, aviation experts will be able to confirm to us. We have Sanjay Karve, aviation expert, who's joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Karve, thank you so much for your time. Just help us understand, we have picked up from eyewitness accounts that the aircraft was about 100 feet or so above ground when it fell. We have picked up from Sanjay Lazar, another aviation expert, that the airstrip was pretty much in the vicinity of the crash site, and the fact that there wasn't really a major wind pattern change, and it seems to be a sunny day. So weather potentially ruled out. Vicinity of the airstrip suggests that the pilot was trying to take the aircraft to the runway and not really crash land in a field. And a 2-engine aircraft, again suggesting that potentially both engines packing up together would be a rarity. Mr. Karve, what exactly is your analysis, preliminary analysis? We'll not hold you to it, but what are you making about this particular crash at the moment?
Okay, it's a very sad and tragic day for Maharashtra and for the families of the crew member and the passengers. If you look at the visuals, you can make out that the weather is reasonably fine. I would say what we call as cloud and visibility okay condition for flying. And there are no major obstructions in and around the airfield, which someone would like to try and avoid making an approach. It is very apparent that the crew has encountered some serious emergency in which he's tried to make the runway and landed short of the runway. I would discount fuel contamination because the aircraft has got airborne from Pune, where he would have used maximum thrust. He is flying en route and he's on the final approach where he would have reduced his power. So the power requirement would also not be much. So fuel contamination is something which we can safely rule out. So chances are quite bright that he has lost an engine or he has had a fire on the engines, which has resulted in, loss of situational awareness vis-a-vis the runway, because the runway is not a level runway.
Mr. Kave, let me just bring you to the fill you with some details so that you can tell us about the the big picture. The big picture is, which has been reported by many of the websites, the aircraft that was used was Learjet 45XR, sir.
Yeah.
So it was a Learjet 45XR, which means 2 jet engines, sir, at the back of it. You know, I'm explaining this for the convenience of our audience. That's one, sir. Learjet 45XR registered as BT-SSK.
Yeah.
It's a high-performance, super-light business jet known for its speed, fuel efficiency, and high-altitude capabilities, sir. You would be knowing. For my viewers, you know, it's a medium haul flight plane, short to medium haul, has a wingspan of 47 feet, weight of 9,752 kg. Now, this was, this plane was operated by a separate company, and the company which leased out this plane specializes in jet charters, helicopter rentals, medical evacuation, and their fleet includes Learjet 45XR, Beechcraft, Super King, Air B200 and Augusta 109 helicopters. I'm not naming the company right now, I just don't want to get into this name business, but my thrust is, it's not one small company, it's a big company. So, in an aircraft like that, sir, what would happen that it would crash before making a landing at the airstrip, you know?
Absolutely. Before we allow Mr. Karve to weigh in, I think things that we can definitely rule out are weather. Weather was definitely not an issue. It is a sunny day, and Sanjay Lazar has confirmed to us that it's a sunny day. No real abnormality when it comes to wind pattern. It is a 2-engine aircraft. Both engines failing simultaneously doesn't seem like a possibility. And fuel contamination, unlikely, because the aircraft has flown 150 kilometers at least from Mumbai airstrip all the way to Baramati. And so these are 3 things that we can rule out. Bird hit potentially, is that something, Mr. Karve?
And fourth thing I would like to add is, if the aircraft is landing, even if there's a loss of engine, even if there's a loss of 2 engines, I mean to say, does the aircraft have the capacity to maneuver itself to the airstrip? You know, I'm opening this for you. All these questions, both Karthik and Karthikeya has asked you.
Okay, an aircraft like this, if you lose one engine, they are designed to land on the single engine. In fact, all the approaches on a runway are patterned in such a way that should you lose an engine on the approach, you can still land on the runway. And the pilots practice these emergencies on the simulator every year, where it is practiced that, okay, you lose an engine just before takeoff, after you're taken off, or just before landing, or when you're on final approach. So losing one engine is an emergency, but it is not a life-threatening emergency. Losing both engines together is unlikely, and if you lose both engines, chances of your making the runway start diminishing. But like it was pointed out, there is a high chance of a bird hit being taken place, because if you just lose one engine, the aircraft should have been able to comfortably land on the runway. There shouldn't have been a problem. And especially with a visual approach, pilots do add that safety margin when carrying out an approach on a runway like Baramati, which has got no navigational aids. So the pilots always add that safety margin. So only problem comes up if you lose both the engines together, or if there's a bird hit along with a single engine failure. Now, these are the things which we can only come to know once the preliminary inspection is over, or once we have a data from the black box, especially the way the pictures are showing that the aircraft has crashed. Realistically, unless and until you do code the CBR or the black box, you really cannot pinpoint anything as to what would be the primary cause. But like I would like to reiterate, losing one engine, the aircraft would have still safely come up. This is a 16 years old aircraft. The manufacturing of this was stopped by Bombardier sometime in 2012, 2013. So support may have been a technical support, or spare support may have been an issue, but which we are not certain.
I'll just fill in one more data point to you, sir. One more data point. And that data point is, sir, that the crash, it was not far away from the airport, sir. We are trying to locate the distance. It is not far away from the airport. You know, when we are accessing the Google points, sir, it is just showing that it was within that within a very close vicinity of the airport that the crash had taken place. It was not far off.
Absolutely.
It was not far off.
It was right in the vicinity, and in fact, the aircraft reportedly was in finals, because eyewitness account has also told us that the aircraft was flying steady at about 100 feet or so, approaching the airstrip. And in fact, Sanjay Lazar also confirmed to us some time back that he himself is just 10 kilometers away from the crash site. But we also know for a fact that the aircraft was pretty much on finals, coming in to land at the airstrip, but not making it and really putting the aircraft down in the field.
Mr. Lazar, a lot of websites are saying that when it was approaching the airstrip in Barabati, however, it suddenly veered off the airstrip. It veered off. It was coming on the airstrip. It veered off the airstrip, and it landed on the field.
Potential wind pattern disruption a possibility, Mr. Karve? Is that something that could be a cause for, in its finals, the aircraft coming down, but a sudden change in the wind pattern, making the pilot veer off the flight path and potentially not having enough thrust to recover from that maneuver?
No, Baramati is not known to have such drastic change of wind patterns. And if we talk of wind shear, the aircraft would not veer off. The aircraft would sink in a wind shear. If there is a sudden change of wind, what we call as a wind shear, which is a very dangerous phenomenon, the aircraft would sink. But like it has been pointed out that the aircraft veered off the final approach in the last 100-150 feet. That's what I'm trying to say, that the crew was definitely aiming for the runway. They were on the correct approach and alignment to make it for the runway. And if the aircraft has veered off to one side on short finals or something, they have lost an engine and probable bird hit, which has
just say a minute, sir. Sir, please hold it. I'm also joined by Mr. Milind Devra, MP from Rajya Sabha. Thank you, Milind, for joining us. Sir, your opening comments on passing away of Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar.
No, I'm firstly still in shock. I'm very sad to hear about this. At a personal level, he's someone I knew for many years from our days in Congress before the NCP split. He's someone who knew my family. My father knew him. He knew my father. It's very sad because he was a very well organized, very able administrator, a very integral part of the Maharashtra government, and to lose him suddenly, in a very untimely way, in a very tragic way, is obviously very unfortunate. And I just pray for his family. I pray for his supporters. I'm 100% certain that it will be a big loss for the state government, for Maharashtra's politics.
Can you tell us about the time you had with Mr. Ajit Pawar and the sort of politics he practiced, sir?
He was a very hardworking, well-organized, able administrator. I've had many experiences with him, not so much in during this tenure as Deputy Chief Minister, but in the past when he was a minister, when he was Deputy Chief Minister earlier. He was someone, if you went to him with a public work, public demand, his ability to cut through the chase, get it done, follow it up, was quite extraordinary, was quite unique. But to me, more than that, he was a very affable politician. He was someone who, even during difficult times, dealt with things in a light-hearted way. And that, I think, is a unique skill to have in a profession, a dog-eat-dog profession like us.
I'm Karthik from studio. Before I let go of you, since you have been both sides of the aisle, I mean to say, how would you remember Ajit Pawar? I know it's a very it's a question I wouldn't have asked, but needlessly.
I would remember him personally as someone who was a helpful, organized, hardworking, affable, accessible administrator. That's how I would remember him. I think I would certainly remember him as an asset to any government that he was a part of. That's my personal way of remembering him. I would say personally and professionally.
Thank you, Mr. Devra, for joining us. Milind Devra, who was member of Lok Sabha for 2 terms. He's member of Rajya Sabha, former union minister, who was with us on the phone line. He was telling us about Ajit Pawar. My panel continues to be with me. it's a day of horror. I must say that on one hand, Ajit Pawar has passed away and the horrific avalanche has taken place in Sonmarg. We really don't know what sort of casualties have taken place there. Big avalanche has taken place there. But nonetheless, let me go back to the story right now. India has lost an important son, politician. Let me go across to Mr. Karve. So, if you're there with me, sir. Mr. Karve, are you there?
Yes, I am there with you.
Okay. Now, sir,
and I would just like, like to add
yes,
to what
sir.
Mr. Deora said. I have flown with him for 19 years when I was with the government of Maharashtra.
Okay.
Okay, a very able administrator, and one quality which I think all politicians all over the world should take from him is stickler of time. When he gives you a time, he actually means it, which is unlike any other politician. When he says 6 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he means 6 o'clock and 4 o'clock, and he is always there. Be it a meeting or be it a takeoff or be it his appointment with someone. That was something which was very unlikely and very unusual for an Indian politician.
Absolutely, sir. There's also a little bit of an update. I know. This is the nature of the breaking news. Mr. Karve, you had been with us. This is the nature of the breaking news. A couple of websites are reporting that it's not adjacent to the airstrip. They're saying it's roughly 2 to 3 kilometers off the airstrip, sir.
Yeah, that is quite possible. See, when the aircraft is on an approach, when he comes on top of the runway, any aircraft, if you watch carefully, he would be about 200 to 250 feet at the beginning of the runway. So if the aircraft has crashed before it, he would be at least a kilometer. The aircraft travels at 150 knots on a final approach. That is close to 300 kilometers. So if you work backwards, he would definitely be 2 to 3 kilometers or at least 2 kilometers away from the runway.
So in that case, sir, like for example in Ahmedabad, we still don't know what happened. The ramjet came out. We don't even have that visuals or the footage of any telltale. But looking at the site of the impact, as an aviator, someone who has flown for more than 2 decades, what can you deduce, sir?
Yeah, it's a very horrible and it's a major impact. Now this impact, something like this would obviously be a result of loss of control of the aircraft, where the crew has been unable to control the final descent or the approach path. Now this can only happen in case of a sudden bird hit or suddenly losing both the engines. Or, one very remote possibility is wind shear. But even in wind shear, the pilot would have an option and would be able to get out of it. So aircraft would not crash so directly. And Baramati is not known to have such weather, especially at this time of the year. Baramati's weather normally is steady and fair. And wind shear is not a phenomena known in Baramati at all.
So wind shear is not a phenomena. I'm also joined by Subhash Goel. Mr. Goel, thank you for joining me, sir. Your opening comments on the accident that have taken place.
So it is very unfortunate that a Learjet plane, which is a bombardier plane, and it's a very safe plane, and it has crashed, and there are many Learjets operating all over the world. So, and it is for DGCA to investigate, and investigation, I believe, is going on. Only thing that we have heard is that just before landing, this incident happened, and unless the report comes out, it's very difficult to say. And the owner of this company himself, we can say, is a pilot, and his sons are also pilots. So I don't think that they would fly or take risk by having a plane that is not being properly checked. This is a very, very unfortunate incident, and it's a rare thing that bombardier plane, out of all the private jets that are operating in India, it is one of the safest private jets.
Another breaking news that is coming in, that the plane belonged to the MSVCR Ventures Private Limited. This is a private aviation company based in Delhi. It was established in 2011. Apart from leasing aircraft, the company is also involved in aviation consultancy. The owners are Captain Vijay Singh and Captain Rohit Singh. Earlier on 14 September 2023, one of the company's aircraft had also met with an accident at the Mumbai airport. Now, that's another thing. But before before I come back to the issue of plane, Jayan, there is one political question I want to ask you. What happens to the larger NCP Parvar, sir?
I have already told that there are two options before NCP, either to join parent camp, and that is likely, that is to go under the wings of Uncle Sharad Pawar, or to join BJP, merge with BJP. That's the option. Because I really don't see anyone who will step in the shoes of Ajit Pawar. I don't think Praful Patel or even Chhagan Bhujbal, though a senior minister, or even Ajit Pawar's son, he will step in the shoes and he will head the NCP. I don't think so. Because everybody will prefer, with the patriarch around, let us go back to him. It was because since Pune Municipal Corporation elections, the two factions were trying to come together, even in local bodies elections. And I think ultimately all those having respect for Sharad Pawar, they will join, they will come together. That's what I right now think.
Rennie, what is your opinion on that?
Well, Karthikeya, the fact of the matter is, as I stated earlier to your near namesake Karthik Malhotra as well, that for the NCP, Chhagan Bhujbal would obviously stand out as the one OBC leader in the NCP that was led by the late Ajit Dada Pawar. However, what happens next would be very, very dependent on how the Mahayuti alliance reconciles to the loss of Ajit Dada. So, whether we like it or not, the whole Mahayuti going forward from here has to be something. That is why a cabinet meeting has urgently been called. That is where Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and Shiv Sena Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, along with the NCP ministers in the cabinet, must be imminently or already meeting currently to discuss how they take the political situation further. So it's still earlier days to understand that, like Jayan pointed out, in the Pune and the Pimpri Chinchwad civic corporation elections, the two biggest civic corporations after the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation of Mumbai City, Ajit Pawar and Sharad Pawar had tied up, although they were two distinct...
I'll just like you to stop for a moment. Let me just cut across to Sanjay Raut.
दिलखुलास रोकठोक कार्यकर्त्यांना हवा हवासा वाटणारा नेता, त्यांच्या जाण्यानं महाराष्ट्रावर दुःखाचा डोंगर कोसळलेला आहे. त्यांचं बोलणं, त्यांच्या कामाची पद्धत, त्यांची प्रशासनावरची पकड, या सगळ्या गोष्टी महाराष्ट्राच्या मनात कायम राहतील. बारामती आणि त्यांचं एक नातं होतं आणि त्याच बारामतीमध्ये त्यांना मृत्यू यावा हा एक विचित्र योगायोग आहे. श्रद्धांजली त्यांना कधी व्हावी लागेल असं कधी मनात आलं.
Joined by Sushil Kumar Shinde, the former Union Home Minister of India. Shinde ji, it's a very sad day. I'm Karthikeya from Newsroom. Sir, your opening comments on Ajit Pawar, sir.
अभी मैंने सुबह सुबह टीवी खोला तो अजीत पवार जी की मृत्यु की घटना मालूम हो गई. एक महाराष्ट्र का बड़ा नेता, जो उभरता हुआ नेता और करेजस नेता, उसकी मृत्यु हो गई है. इसके मुझे संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूँ. और वो मैं जब मुख्यमंत्री था तभी मेरे मंत्री परिषद में भी थे, वो थे और वो अच्छा काम करते थे. एक गुड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, उनका कंट्रोल था एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन पर, और जो भी निर्णय लेते क्विक निर्णय लेते. उसकी खासियत थी कि गरीबों को न्याय देने के लिए निर्णय करते थे. तो आज वो हमारे में नहीं है, तो इसके लिए मैं संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूँ.
जी, अजीत पवार की पॉलिटिक्स कैसी थी? वो तो आपके मंत्रिमंडल में भी थे, आपके अनुज थे, और बहुत सारे महाराष्ट्र के नेता आपके अनुज रहे. बहुत सारे लोगों ने आपके अंडर काम किया, जिसमें अजीत पवार भी थे. तो किस तरह की पॉलिटिक्स थी उनकी? कैसे आपके साथ काम किया उन्होंने?
नहीं, वो बड़े सोशल थे, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में बड़े अच्छे पक्के थे।
और उनके बारे में कुछ बताइए, आपको रिपोर्ट किया उन्होंने, आपके साथ काम किया आप जब मुख्यमंत्री थे शिंदे जी?
बहुत अच्छा काम करते थे, कुछ भी काम उनको मिलता था, दिया जाता था तो बड़े गौर से उसे देखते थे और खुल के सब अधिकारियों के साथ वो बात करते थे और जो समाज की रचना के लिए बहुत उपयुक्त काम होगा उसके लिए बहुत मदद करते थे।
Thank you, Sushil Kumar Shinde ji, former Union Home Minister, former Governor of Andhra Pradesh, former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, someone who had an illustrious career within the UPA and the Congress party. Rene, you were trying to make a point and then I'll go back to the issue of investigation. Rene.
Yeah. So, like I said, for the NCP, the whole move ahead in politics of Maharashtra is now on the absolute cusp of great disruption. Because how it goes, I mean, let me give you a little background. Ajit Pawar always felt that he was pitted against NCP's senior leader Jayant Rao Patil, who continues to be with the Sharad Pawar-led faction formation of NCP. And that in effect, like when Jayant Rao Patil was made the president of the party, that is when Ajit Pawar kind of decided that this was it. If you will remember, in 2019, he had made a brief bid to form government as Deputy Chief Minister with Devendra Fadnavis ji, which was only a 73-hour-long government, as we all look back and wonder about what had happened then. But essentially, he had started feeling stifled by the prevalence of Jayant Party.
Rene, just hold your thought for a minute. Let us cut across to Eknath Shinde.
बोलण्याची सवय होती आणि परखड स्पष्ट वक्तेपणा, निर्भीड, रोखठोक बोलणारे असले तरी सुद्धा त्याला चूक म्हणणारे असले तरी सुद्धा अतिशय मनाने ते निर्मळ होते. याचा अनुभव मी स्वतः घेतलेला आहे. त्यांच्यासोबत मी मंत्रिमंडळात देखील काम केलं. मी मुख्यमंत्री असताना त्यांनी उपमुख्यमंत्री म्हणून देखील काम केलं आणि जेव्हा मुख्यमंत्री मी असताना मुख्यमंत्री माझी लाडकी बहीण योजना किंबहुना इतरही योजना जेव्हा आम्ही सुरू केल्या तेव्हा आर्थिक जे काही घडी आहे किंवा आर्थिक तरतूद जी आहे ती अतिशय उत्कृष्टपणे उत्तमपणे त्यांनी त्यावेळेस केली आणि याचा अनुभव मला आहे. आणि एकदा करायचं ठरवलं की ते अजितदादा करायचे. करतो, बघतो, पाहतो असे शब्द त्यांच्या डिक्शनरीत नव्हते. व्हायचं असेल ते तात्काळ करायचे, नसेल त्याला नाही म्हणायचे. असा स्पष्ट वक्तेपणा या महाराष्ट्राने पाहिलेला आहे. मी असेन, मुख्यमंत्री देवेंद्रजी असतील, अजितदादा असतील, आम्ही टीम म्हणून काम केलोय, टीम म्हणून काम करतोय. आमच्या वेळाही कामाच्या वेगवेगळ्या, मी पहाटे उशिरापर्यंत काम करतो, अजितदादा पहाटे लवकर काम सुरू करतात, देवेंद्रजी दिवसभर काम करतात. आणि अजितदादांनी 6-6 वाजता देखील अपॉइंटमेंट दिलेल्या अधिकाऱ्यांनी आणि लोकप्रतिनिधींनी पाहिलेल्या आहे. अतिशय वेळेचं महत्व आणि वेळेचं भान ठेवणारा नेता हरपलेला आहे. खरं म्हणजे काल परवाच आमची एका कार्यक्रमामध्ये भेट झाली. सरन्यायाधीश आपले भारताचे मुंबईत आले होते आणि ते येण्यापूर्वी आम्ही तिथंच एका चेंबरमध्ये बसलो होतो आणि त्यावेळेस झालेल्या चर्चा, गप्पा गोष्टी, आजही सकाळी जेव्हा मला त्यांची ही घटना कळली तेव्हा तेच समोर त्याच आठवणी काल परवाच्या येऊ लागल्या. खरं म्हणजे माझ्यापेक्षा ते राजकारणात देखील अनुभवी नेते, गेल्या अनेक वर्षापासूनचा त्यांचा अनुभव, वयाने देखील माझ्यापेक्षा ते मोठे होते. माझे आणि अनुभवाने देखील, आणि म्हणून त्यांना राज्यातल्या अनेक विषयांचा गाढा अभ्यास होता. अनेक विभाग त्यांनी हाताळले होते. याचा राज्याला फायदा होत होता. मंत्रिमंडळात देखील ज्यावेळेस काही विषय यायचे त्यावेळेस आपल्या राज्याची आर्थिक परिस्थिती अशी आहे, आपल्याला सर्वांना काटकसर करावी लागेल, असे अगदी निर्भीडपणे सांगणारे अजितदादा देखील आम्ही अनुभवलेत. शिस्तीचा नेता म्हणूनही आम्ही अनुभवलेला आहे. आणि त्यामुळे त्यांच्या जाण्याने फक्त पवार कुटुंबियांचंच नाही तर संपूर्ण महाराष्ट्राचं न भरून येणारं नुकसान झालेलं आहे. आणि माझ्यापेक्षा मायाने मोठे असल्यामुळे एक जी काय आमची गेल्या अनेक वर्षापासूनची जवळीक निर्माण झाली होती, त्यामुळे राजकारणातले आम्ही तिघजण एक टीम म्हणून काम करत असलो तरी सुद्धा एक मोठा भाऊ हरपल्याची, गेल्याची भावना देखील, दुःख देखील माझ्या मनामध्ये आहे. आणि मी त्यांना भावपूर्ण आदरांजली अर्पित करीत असतानाच मनामध्ये फार दुःखाच्या भावना आहेत. त्यांचं कुटुंब हे दुःख पचवण्याची क्षमता, डोंगरा एवढं दुःख आहे, ही क्षमता ईश्वराने त्यांना प्रदान करावी. कुटुंबाचंच नाही तर संपूर्ण महाराष्ट्रात झालेले नुकसान. हा, मी आणि मुख्यमंत्री देखील आम्ही जातो आहे. आमचे सहकारी आमच्यातून गेलेत, त्याचं दुःख आहे. आणि ज्या सभा होत्या त्याही आज आम्ही रद्द केलेल्या आहे.
सर, एक विचार असं वाटतं की तुम्ही याला उल्लेख केला की 2 दिवसांपूर्वी त्यांच्या जवळपास 1-1.5 तास तुम्ही बसलेले होतात, दोघंच खूप गप्पा झाल्या त्या चेंबरमध्ये. असं काही एक त्यांच्या किंवा मंत्रिमंडळात देखील असताना अशी काही त्यांची इच्छा, एखादी योजना किंवा एखादं त्यांना करायचं होतं ते तुमच्याशी त्यांनी शेअर केली, आपण हे करूया मिळून महाराष्ट्रासाठी, असं काही?
नाही, आम्ही आतापर्यंत एकत्र जेव्हा तेही उपमुख्यमंत्री होते तेव्हा मी मंत्रिमंडळात होतो. मी मुख्यमंत्री असतानाही उपमुख्यमंत्री होते. आता देवेंद्रजी मुख्यमंत्री आहेत. आम्ही जे काही निर्णय आम्ही घ्यायचो ते निर्णय मिळूनच घ्यायचो. आणि मग एकदा एखादी सूचना आली की मग त्याला तिघांनी बळ देऊन ते पूर्ण करायचं. अजितदादा देखील एकदा कधी कधी असंही म्हणायचे की आता आपली जी काही अर्थव्यवस्था महाराष्ट्राची आहे, काही नवीन योजना केल्यामुळे आपल्याला काटकसर करावी लागेल, पण जेव्हा काही निर्णय आपल्याला घ्यावेच लागतील त्यावेळेस मात्र ते मागे हटत नव्हते. आणि याचा अनुभव देखील आम्ही घेतलेला आहे.
न भरून निघणारे पोकळी सातारा असेल, पश्चिम महाराष्ट्र या ठिकाणी देखील कशा प्रकारची तुम्ही पोकळी भरून काढणार आहे?
नाही, यामध्ये साताराच नाही आहे तर त्यांचं जे असलेलं जे काही ज्ञान आहे, त्यांचा जो काही अनुभव आहे हा महाराष्ट्रासाठी होता. आणि त्या अनेक विभागांचे त्यांनी प्रतिनिधित्व केल्यामुळे मला वाटतं फार मोठं नुकसान झालेलं आहे.
I'm also joined by my colleague Sabyasachi. Sabyasachi, what are the initial observations that are coming out in terms of investigation, because the impact seems to be very, very hard?
Well, that's right. See, I've been speaking with the DGC officials, and the DGC officials tell me, as per the sources, as far the preliminary investigation is concerned. Now, the DGC says that as per the sources, based on the initial investigation, which suggests that the aircraft flew into very thick fog over Pune district and the Baramati area. Now, because of poor visibility, which caused the plane to lose direction while flying over a hilly region, and as per the sources, the aircraft later crashed into a rocky surface. Now, the DGCA says that this is what, as far as the preliminary investigation is concerned. Now, they have also taken the black box. They have recovered the black box from the spot, and they have sent it for further investigation. Meanwhile, the DGCA says that they have taken photographs of the crash site, and they would initiate a proper investigation as to determine what was the speed and what was the nature of of the crash. Meanwhile, the DGCA says that they have already started a probe into this matter. Meanwhile, from the sources, we are learning that back in 2023, in the month of September itself, this particular company, VSR, one of the private chartered flight also had a major accident in the Mumbai airport. So the DGCA says that all these information will be extremely crucial as far as the investigation is concerned. But based on the preliminary investigation so far, the DGCA says that because of the dense fog in that region, the plane, because of low visibility, the plane lost its sight and later crashed into a rocky surface.
There are a lot of reports that are coming in. For example, multiple reports are saying, eyewitnesses saying that when the aircraft was heading towards the runway, it suddenly veered off the landing path. Then secondly, people are saying that they heard a strange noise coming from the aircraft while it was landing. Third, if you look at the impact of the aircraft, it means that it has, something disastrous happened in the last 5 minutes. I don't want to get into those whole issue of human or technical. Let the investigation speak on that. But a lot of pilots who came on the show, they were saying that there is no wind factor in Baramati, Sabyasachi. They're saying there is no wind factor in Baramati.
Well, that's right. See, the DGCA says that while landing, the aircraft face some trouble. Now, if you see the pictures of the crash site, now the DGCA says that because of the aircraft, because of low visibility, the aircraft lost its sighting, and while landing, it crashed into a rocky surface, and that's clearly tells about the crash site. And now, if you look at the visuals, the debris was spread completely all across the area, and the DGCA says that they have retrieved the black box. As per the DGCA, they are maintaining.
You continue to stay with me. Let us put these visuals full screen. I'm joined by Captain C.S. Randhawa, aviation expert in the President Federation of the Indian Pilot. Mr. Randhawa, if you look at these visuals, the site of the impact, sir, what do you make out?
See, from the visuals, what I've seen on the television, firstly, it is very close to the threshold. It's in the undershoot area, where the debris is all over spread. So
undershoot area, sir?
Undershoot area just before the runway. That is undershoot area. Okay, there's a little patch of the runway which is unsurfaced and which is with sand and all that. So we call that undershoot, and overshoot is where the beyond the runway area, soft ground is there. So this has crashed before the threshold. Now the TV has been showing on the threshold. Now there are two possibilities. One is the visibility. If the visibility was poor, and it's a VFR airfield, that's a visual flight it has to do, there no instrument landing over there. So if visibility was low, he could have mistook the runway and aircraft would have lost control and crashed. Or the aircraft has had fire. So the only two possibilities at that stage for the aircraft to have crashed, because one is visibility, that he's lost control and he could have crashed, or second is he could have may have had fire on one of the engines. But fire on one of the engines, it can't be so fast that the aircraft has gone and crashed, because with one engine failure, this will not occur at that stage. Karthikeya.
Sir, so you are saying that this will not occur. But what do you think would allow for a plane with two jet engines to crash like that, sir? For example, even if there is a cataclysmic failure of both engines, does this aircraft is capable of creating a glide, sir?
Yeah, it was so near to the runway, it could glide, and it could, with two engine failure also, it could have made to the runway. Because
to the runway.
We don't know exactly that how far this aircraft has crashed. Okay, this is only on the TV we are seeing that debris is spread all over, but it is before the runway. It is not at threshold because the news which is being given in the TV is threshold. It's not the threshold. Threshold means it's almost come on the runway because the runway starts on the threshold. The lines are there, big lines. So that is the start of the runway. So this is before that. He's hit a rocky surface and all. So most probably the visibility could have been low that time, and he should have gone around in case he's not seen the runway, and he's lost track for some time. He's lost the runway and could have crashed because of that.
A lot of people would like to know, because this is happening in wake of Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad was a huge disaster. Certain telltale features were there. For example, the entire ramjet thing came out. People spoke about it. But in this case, we understand, as outsiders to this aviation industry, that landing is a tough job. It's not an easy job. But with modern avionics, do you see that the pilots can lose sight of it? Like most of the airports do have the capacity to guide pilots in with Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 4 capabilities, sir.
There is no instrument landing system at Baramati. It's a visual airfield. So you need, in a visual airfield, you need 5 kilometers of visibility. So I don't know what was the visibility, because nothing is being told, that what was the visibility. If the visibility was poor, then there's most likely chances that he's lost, for some time he's lost the sight of the runway, and he could have crashed in that little rocky area there before the runway. So he could have crashed there. Okay, because there's a little small, it's not even a hillock. It's a small undulated land. Okay, so it is quite evident, because even if you lose one engine was on fire, he could have made it to the runway, right? So it can't be fire, right? And what I speculate is that most probably that he's lost sight of the runway because of the visibility conditions. He should have not continued, so we don't know what is the visibility. So this is all speculation. Until unless we get that what is the visibility, we cannot come to a conclusion that this thing has happened.
Savya, as Captain Randhawa in a very systematic way explained to us, can you just break the news which you have for Captain Randhawa?
Well, as per the preliminary investigation, the DGCA sources tell us that because of low visibility over the Baramati region, the particular aircraft could have lost its sight, and after that it could have hit a rocky surface which could have led to the crash. Now the DGCA says that they have retrieved the black box from the crash site, and they are going to investigate it to understand the health or technical related to that particular aircraft, and also to ascertain the speed, and they have captured...
Just stay with me, Captain Randhawa with me.
I'm there.
So there is one issue which I would like to draw your notice to. This is a story which is there in public domain. Landing gear concerns, sir. The NTSB issued an urgent recommendation in October 2025 regarding main landing gear attachment on certain Learjet models affecting 1,883 airplanes in service. The issue involves a maintenance assembly problem where the retaining bolt could be inadvertently installed without passing through the Shunyan pin, leaving the gear insecurely attached. This is a maintenance assembly issue rather than a visibility related one. A lot of people are saying, can you just break it down for us, sir? You would understand this issue.
See, if there is a landing gear problem, now there won't be a landing gear collapse. Now, landing gear collapse means that firstly it has crashed before the runway. So landing gear will come into effect once the aircraft is going to touch down. If supposing the aircraft would have crashed on the runway, then that possibility we could have taken that there is a problem with the landing gear. This has happened before the runway, So how can landing gear be an issue? Landing gear cannot be an issue.
it cannot be an issue.
These are VFR airfields. So VFR airfields, there are two flying clubs are there, Redbird and Carver Aviation. Okay, they operate from Baramati, right? So most of these flying training organizations, they are located on airfields which have got no aids available, like the landing instrument landing system, the VOR. So they have to do a visual approach. Now, for visual approach, the visibility has to be 5 kilometers. Now, in case the visibility is 5 kilometers, there is no question of a crash.
Okay, so you are saying it's not a landing gear issue. Please, Sabyasachi, please bring us up to date on your breaking news. And then I'll come to you, Rene. Please just wait with me. I know you have been very, very patient. Sabyasachi and then Rene.
See, what we are learning from the preliminary investigation by the DGC is that the crash could have possibly happened because of dense fog in the region of Baramati and Pune. And because of the dense fog, the aircraft could have faced poor visibility, and that could have led to loss of sighting. And after that, the aircraft crashed into a rocky surface, and that happened right before the airstrip. So that clearly answers a lot of questions. And meanwhile, the DGCA says that the detailed investigation will take place. The DGC, in fact, have taken photographs of the crash site. They have taken photographs of the debris. They have also retrieved the black box to ascertain the health of the aircraft, and also they say that every possible angle will be investigated by the DGCA, but they mainly point out towards the poor visibility and dense fog in the area, because of which the aircraft could have lost its sighting, and that could have resulted into the aircraft crashing into a rocky surface.
Absolutely, and these are the visuals we are getting from the hospital where the body has been taken. The politicians are reaching Baramati. It's a very tough moment for the NCP. Rene, you wanted to comment, please, Rene.
You know, you had very, very relevantly cited the Ahmedabad crash in the context of today's, Learjet crash that has taken place, where we've lost Ajit Dada Pawar. Now, I had occasion as in the wake of the Ahmedabad crash, particularly since there was a lot of pilot error being bandied about by not only the Air India management, but also foreign aviation experts who came into the news domain of Indian news channels. Now, I spoke to some senior civil officials at that time, and I was told two things. One, that there was a deliberate misinterpret happening on the last conversation by the pilots that was recorded in their cockpit, and their communication to the air traffic control at Ahmedabad before right after the plane off and crashing. So that was very crucial, though it was trying to be misinterpreted as in the co-pilot error took place. Now that was settled. And this is the most crucial thing I want to cite here, Kartikeya. The RCA data. That is what that senior expert I spoke to told me. Rene, please wait. Instead of jumping the gun, we prefer to wait for the root cause analysis data to become available. And as you will note, Kartikeya, this was submitted to the Supreme Court of India. And in the case where Captain Sabharwal's father had moved the court to, exonerate and, remove the tarnish that was being placed upon Captain Sabharwal by terming the Ahmedabad crash as a pilot error, the Supreme Court, which had the RCA data in open court, told Mr. Sabharwal that this much we can tell you, that your son was not at all responsible. There was no pilot error. So the RCA report, the root cause analysis report, is what is going to finally, though it will not happen in an instant, in a jiffy, it will take a total, deep dive into and these are all set norms. So one, the communication between the pilot and any last communication before the crash would be crucial. The black box is already there, and the mechanical aspects will be very clear after that. But the root cause analysis will finally hit the nail on what exactly went wrong, just as it did in the Ahmedabad crash. So there is no ambiguity about the Ahmedabad crash not having been a pilot error. The RCA report is available with the Supreme Court, although it's not been made public. So there you are. This is what I wanted to bring in here, and it will be very crucial to know what exactly resulted in the, like you pointed out yourself, there is never a weather condition that can be cited in Baramati. I mean, I myself have visited the place. It's a, a brilliant landscape, and there was no such evidence of dense fog. Although, in the approach to Baramati, there must have been heavy fog and things like that. But I think that more clarity will emerge as we carry on this.
I think there's a breaking news that is coming in. I'm also joined by Captain Wadia, founder president of the Federation of Indian Pilots. Sir, thank you so much for joining me. This is the full freight breaking we are doing. Pilot noticed a technical problem. He took a second approach to Baramati, and crash happened attempting a second approach. And pilot had made a mayday call, sir. So that's the second aspect which we have learned. Pilot requested permission for emergency landing. So that's very, very important. Your opening comments, sir, because keeping in mind you must have seen the visuals of the impact, which was huge. Captain Wadia.
Absolutely. The impact was huge, but there is not enough evidence that is coming out right now. There is indication that there was stick shakers coming on.